Today, Matt will bring you a story about the love of a couple who met by chance, a love sweeter than candied sugarcane. The male lead in this story once wanted to conquer the world, but looking back, he realized that every piece, every fragment of that world was her. Watch along with Matt, and don't forget to support High with a like and a subscription, my dear friends. On a campus not far from the city, a torrential downpour had begun. Under the canopy of a tree, a luxurious car sat parked. Despite the chill in the air, the temperature inside the car was quite the opposite. The atmosphere within was thick with a hazy intimacy, as a handsome man and a beautiful woman were deeply engrossed in conversation. The woman's mischievous hand wandered, until the man suddenly grabbed it and held it tight. He looked at her and asked simply, "Want to play?" The woman's face flushed crimson, like a ripe tomato. She looked at him, her gaze like a hunter eyeing its prey. After a moment of silence, she pushed him back against the seat and replied with a curt, "Yes." The man smirked, a devilish glint in his eyes. She quickly removed his glasses. Presented with such a beautiful woman, the young man couldn't refuse. Still, he cautiously added, "You're sure about this? Don't come looking for me to settle the score afterward." And with that, they launched into a passionate embrace, their battle raging through 7 times 74 rounds. The rain outside began to subside, just as the battle within the car reached its conclusion. Once finished, she quickly reached for her high heels. The man watched her, his gaze unreadable, a deep intensity in his eyes. As she bent down to put on her shoes, preparing to leave, he couldn't help but ask, "At the celebratory party, did you perhaps drink something you shouldn't have?" She froze at his words, then, regaining her composure, replied, "Thank you for tonight, Seo, Tom." He glanced at the scratches she'd left on him, a teasing lilt in his voice. "You've done this to me, and all I get is a thank you." She clutched her slightly aching body and stumbled out of the car. Before closing the door, she added, "I'll treat you to dinner another time." Then she quickly disappeared. As he watched her go, a mixture of bewilderment and longing in his eyes, he heard a knock on the car window. Knock, knock, knock. The young man outside was Liu Bei, Tong Zhao, Li's best friend. Liu Bei's eyes twinkled with mischievous amusement as he teased his friend. "Hey, Lao Tong, I didn't think a car with such a large load capacity could shake so violently. Your waist is pretty strong, I must say." Liu Bei entered the car, continuing his teasing. "That girl looks familiar, right? Her name is Ji Twen. She's the project director that one Sheng Group recently recruited. Wait a minute, I think she has a boyfriend, doesn't she? His name is Xiao something." Tong Zhaoli responded indifferently. "Oh, is that so? I didn't know." Liu Bei looked at his close friend with suspicion. "Seriously? Lao Tong, there's no way you didn't know." "Okay, keep acting. Just keep acting." Hearing his friend's teasing tone, Tong Zhaoli couldn't help but chuckle. Ji Twen arrived home and quickly went to take a shower. Exasperated by the night's events, she sat holding her head and sighed. "Those old geezers at the company are afraid I'm in their way. So they came up with this scheme, didn't they? They actually stooped to such despicable tactics." Ji Twen recalled the events of the evening party. She had been standing when a waiter brought her a drink. Ji Twen didn't think much of it and quickly accepted the drink. Later, realizing she'd been set up, she swiftly exited the party. By chance, she ran into her boss, Tong Zhaoli. While encountering Tong, Zhaoli wasn't the worst outcome. It wasn't exactly ideal either. The events of a few hours earlier replayed in her mind. The moment she arrived at the party, 2 nobodies had accosted her. "Beautiful lady, have a drink with Mr. Tong," one urged. "Yes, yes, have a toast with him," the other chimed in. A chorus of jeers and catcalls erupted from the surrounding guests. "Drink, drink," they chanted. Ji Twen, her face burning with embarrassment, scanned the crowd, desperately searching for a rescuer. But the only face that met her gaze was the smirking visage of Xiao Tan, her ex-boyfriend. "Ji Twen, what are you still standing there for? Just go." Tong Zhaoli suddenly appeared beside her, his voice a calming presence. "Don't worry," he reassured her. "We'll just have one drink." Seeing the suspicion in her eyes, he leaned in close, whispering in her ear, "I'm not that kind of man." Suddenly, her phone rang, shattering the tense moment and the unwelcome memories that had resurfaced. Exhausted, she picked up the phone and collapsed on her bed, answering the call. Her mother's voice filled the line. Twen, are you home yet?" "Yes, Mom, I'm home. I'm lying in bed right now." Hearing her daughter's voice, her mother sighed in relief. Good. I was so worried after you mentioned going to that celebratory party yesterday. I couldn't sleep a wink, afraid you drink too much. Twen, if you're tired, make yourself some honey water, okay. G-Twin sat up, resting her chin on her knees, a flicker of hope in her voice. Mom, have you heard anything about Dad? A strange silence fell over the line. After a moment, her mother quickly made an excuse to end the call. Twin, it's about to rain. I need to bring in the laundry. Take good care of yourself, and don't worry too much about things here. I'll hang up now. G-Twin hung up the phone, her face etched with sadness, her gaze distant. Just then, a new message notification popped up on her phone. Opening the message, she saw it was from an unknown number. The 2 lines of text nearly made her faint. Director G, it seems you left your underwear in my car. She hesitated, unsure whether to reply. Politeness won out in the end. Mr. Tong, would you please just throw it away for me? Thank you. G-Twin, utterly drained, drifted off to sleep. But sleep offered no respite. Nightmares besieged her, beads of sweat dotting her forehead. In her dream, she and her mother were surrounded by a mob of debt collectors, their voices a cacophony of threats. G-Jania, come out here. Debts must be paid. Pay us back, they screamed. G-Jania owes us 70 million NDT. If he's not here, you have to pay. Her mother's face was a mask of terror. But we don't have any money, she stammered. The debt collectors, unconvinced, began seizing their belongings. No money, huh? This house looks like it's worth something. Get your things and get out. Someone throw them out. G-Twin and her mother could only struggle helplessly against the onslaught. In the chaos, her mother was accidentally pushed to the ground, injured. Mom! G-Twin cried out, jolting awake from the nightmare. Mom! Realizing it was just a dream, she buried her face in her hands, letting out a long, shaky breath. Worry gnawed at her. She grabbed her phone and transferred some money to her mother, adding a thoughtful message. Mom, the weather's changing. Make sure you buy some warm clothes. Don't be afraid to spend money. I paid back more than half the debt now. Once it's all paid off, I'll bring you here to live with me. We'll be together, Mom. The next morning dawned, and, as usual, G-Twin arrived at the company. But today, the atmosphere felt strangely charged. Countless eyes followed her every move. Outwardly, they still offered their morning greetings. Good morning, Director G. But behind her back, they huddled together, whispering. I can't believe it. She always seemed so calm and collected, but to do something like that. Another voice chimed in. That's because she was putting on an act. There are photos now. How can she deny it? Who's the man, anyway? I can't quite make him out. That's probably for the best. He's likely some high-ranking executive. Who'd dare take a clear photo of his face? Spotting G-Twin approaching, 2 colleagues startled and hissed. Shh, stop talking. She's coming. Overhearing the hushed whispers, G-Twin's face hardened. She crossed her arms and stared at the gossiping group. Slowly, deliberately, she extended her hand, gesturing for one of their phones. The 2 colleagues, sweating nervously, quickly complied. G-Twin took the phone and scrolled through the news, her expression darkening. The colleague stammered, Director G, these photos were sent to the work group chat early this morning. They're even in the senior management's emails. G-Twin saw the crystal-clear photos of herself inside the car. The headline was shamelessly sensational. Project Director G-Twin caught frolicking in car. From the angle of the shots, G-Twin quickly realized the photographer was a seasoned veteran. They had captured her face perfectly, while Tong Zhao Li was only visible from the nose down. While G-Twin was pondering how to handle the situation, her phone rang. Calmly, she answered. It was the HR assistant. Hello, Director G. Mr. Li asked you to come to his office when you arrived. All right, I understand. Please inform everyone about a meeting this afternoon. G-Twin returned the phone and quickly left. The 2 colleagues, still reeling from the shock, continued their hushed whispers. She's so daring. After something like this, she still wants to hold a meeting? I have to hand it to her. G-Twin reached Mr. Li's office and paused outside, composing herself before entering. Inside, to her surprise, Tong Zhao Li was also present. He feigned ignorance, casually asking, I heard the project lead was involved in some sort of scandal in a car last night. Is that true? Mr. Li frantically denied it. No. Where did you hear that? Tong Zhao Li hid a smirk, maintaining a serious facade. Really? I heard there are even photos. Mr. Li, now sweating profusely, explained, those photos are of Director G with her boyfriend. It's a private matter between them. We can't interfere. The words boyfriend piqued Tong Zhao Li's interest. He couldn't help but chuckle. Boyfriend, huh? G-Twin opened the door, startled to see Tong Zhao Li there. Quickly regaining her composure, she knocked. Why is he here? She thought. Without looking up, Mr. Li called out, Come in. His gaze remained fixed on Tong Zhaoli, anxious not to offend him. Mr. Tong, Director G is here. If you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. Tong Zhaoli's eyes met hers, filled with amusement and a hint of a smile. Though a flicker of panic ran through Ji-Twin, she placed a hand on her chest to steady herself and approached Tong Zhaoli, asking with a smile what he wanted to know. Tong Zhaoli immediately changed the subject. There's no need for that now. Let's discuss the project. Mr. Li, hearing this, promptly presented a stack of documents. The terms of this project are certainly preferential. We're only offering it because we're temporarily short on capital. Otherwise, we definitely wouldn't be outsourcing it. Tong Zhaoli, with the air of a CEO, waved his hand dismissively. I don't want to hear these platitudes. Seeing him rise to leave, Ji-Twin suggested with a smile, Director Tong, would you like to go and inspect the site? Mr. Li quickly chimed in, Yes. Let me arrange a car to take you there right away. Tong Zhaoli fixed Mr. Li with a penetrating gaze and asked, Mr. Li, are you truly so free as to personally make the trip? Of course, Mr. Li began, but catching Tong Zhaoli's reproachful look, he quickly amended his statement. Oh, I forgot, I'm rather busy. If Director Tong doesn't mind, perhaps Director G could accompany you. Tong Zhaoli, outwardly aloof but inwardly eager, feigned indifference. Whatever. Ji-Twin couldn't refuse, so she gestured towards the door. Director Tong, please follow me. Confusion swirled within her. What was he really up to? She wondered. Soon, they were in a car speeding towards the construction site. Ji-Twin, reviewing information on her iPad, thoroughly explained the project to Tong Zhaoli. The construction is still ongoing at the site. Rest assured, Director Tong, Wangshe Construction is a long-term partner of Wansheng, and they are very capable. Ji-Twin continued to speak at length about the project. When she noticed he hadn't reacted, she glanced over at him and saw Tong Zhaoli adjusting his collar, inadvertently revealing a love bite on his neck. He asked nonchalantly, Are you finished? Seeing the mark on his neck, her mind flashed back to the previous night. Blushing, she turned away, avoiding his gaze. She replied in a barely audible voice, I'm finished. Her demeanor made him chuckle. He leaned closer, asking softly, Are you afraid of me? Ji-Twin met his gaze directly, a bold smile playing on her lips. I'm not afraid. I believe Director Tong is a gentleman. He looked at her with a mixture of amusement and tenderness. He replied with a touch of humor, Don't worry, Director G. I won't cling to you and demand you take responsibility just because you slept with me once. Taken aback by his flippant tone, she grabbed her iPad without a word and exited the car, heading towards the construction site. He quickly followed. Director G, are you angry? No. Director Tong, we've arrived. Tong Zhaoli surveyed the project before him and commented, It seems this project is currently more trouble than it's worth. Ji-Twin didn't argue. Calmly, she offered her perspective. Director Tong, this project was never intended to be hugely profitable. Its advantage lies in its stable, long-term returns. Tong Zhaoli glanced at her. Is that just empty talk? What guarantees can you offer me? You can review the data. The numbers will prove everything, she replied, handing him her iPad. A man nearby noticed them. Wang Cheng, the project supervisor, approached them warmly. Director G, what brings you here? It's nothing. Everyone, please continue with your work. I'm just showing a client around. Wang Cheng offered a kind warning. It's quite dangerous on a construction site, Director G. Please wear a hard hat. Thanks for the reminder, Ji-Twin said, quickly putting on her hard hat. She grabbed another one and offered it to Tong Zhaoli. Mr. Tong, you should wear one too. Be careful, things might fall from above. Tong Zhaoli seized the opportunity to act coy. But I don't know how to put this on. Director G, could you help me? Ji-Twin looked at him with suspicion in her eyes. Despite her skepticism, she dutifully stepped closer and, rising on her toes, placed the hard hat on his head. Tong Zhaoli stared intently into her eyes. Their gazes locked, his seeming to say, I just want to tell you one thing. His hand, as if acting on its own accord, reached out and brushed against her waist. Ji-Twin jolted back to awareness, swatting his hand away with a sharp slap and quickly moving to put some distance between them. Under her glare, he feigned an innocent expression, as if completely oblivious to his actions. Then, with a disarming smile, he thanked her. Thanks, Director G. Her face remained stern, a clear warning in her eyes that told him to watch himself. She turned and walked away. You're welcome, Mr. Tong. The site supervisor, standing behind them, seemed to have witnessed the charged exchange. He partially hid his face behind his notebook, his eyes darting back and forth between them, a look of dawning comprehension on his face. He quickly covered his mouth with his hand, thinking to himself, oh my, could Director G and Mr. Tong be that kind of relationship? Thinking quickly, the supervisor began to point out the surrounding landscape. Mr. Tong, this location is nestled between the mountains and the river. The scenery is quite beautiful. We're planning to build a high-end senior care facility here. While the two men talked, G-Twin pulled out her phone to check her messages. The sender was her ex-boyfriend. Are you okay? Your boss just called me to ask about things. I told him the man with you last night was me. Tong Zhao Li, happening to walk by, read every word over her shoulder. He then added, with a teasing tone, I didn't realize your boyfriend was so understanding. He quickly walked over to the supervisor, leaving G-Twin pointing at her phone, wanting to explain something to him. But she suddenly stopped. Her face darkened as she furiously typed a reply to her ex. We broke up. Stop calling yourself my boyfriend. Her supposed ex, instead of being angry, sent a placating message. Be good. Stop causing trouble. Our wedding is still on as planned. I won't ask who the man was last night, so you should also forget about the unpleasantness between us. Let's not worry our parents. G-Twin felt a wave of nausea reading his words and retorted, don't make me sick. G-Twin felt utterly exhausted. She repeatedly tapped her forehead, trying to dispel the growing headache. Across from her, after their discussion, Supervisor Wong couldn't help but give Tong Zhao Li a thumbs up. I'm impressed, Mr. Tong. You know so much. Very few executives are aware of these details. Tong Zhao Li responded modestly. I spent a few years working on construction sites, even as a laborer, so I picked up some knowledge along the way. Standing behind them, G-Twin listened, her suspicion of Tong Zhao Li's performance growing. He worked as a laborer, but he didn't know how to put on a hard hat? Is he playing me? Lost in thought, she was startled when he turned to her and asked, Director G, shall we continue? Continue where? I want to go back to the company. I've already troubled Mr. Tong enough. A car quickly arrived to take G-Twin back. After getting out, she waved goodbye to Tong Zhao Li. He, however, looked away, pointedly ignoring her. The driver, sensing the awkwardness, spoke up, Goodbye, Director G. Have a safe trip back. G-Twin went straight to Mr. Li's office and knocked. A voice from inside called out, Come in. G-Twin entered and quickly reported the situation. Mr. Li, Director Tong has returned. Is there anything else you need from me? Suddenly, without a word, Mr. Li threw a stack of documents directly at G-Twin. He then angrily pointed at her and berated her. Director G, I don't want to interfere in your personal life, but you saw what happened this morning. This has seriously affected the company's reputation. Don't you have anything to say for yourself? G-Twin looked up and firmly stated, I don't. Her unyielding attitude infuriated Mr. Li. Fine, then you'll forfeit all your bonuses this month. Go back and write a self-criticism and send it to my email. G-Twin simply nodded and left Mr. Li's office. As she walked, feeling dejected, her phone suddenly rang. G-Twin glanced at the screen and saw it was an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment, but answered, Hello, who is this? Twin, it's Xiao Tan. Did you block me? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Don't contact me again. The voice on the other end suddenly became urgent. Twin, wait. I need to ask you for a favor. G-Twin immediately refused. I'm under no obligation to help you. Her ex-boyfriend's pleading voice came through the phone. G-Twin, please help me with this. I promise I won't bother you again. I'll also tell everyone the wedding was called off because I'm going abroad. We can both save face. What do you say? Hearing him say this, G-Twin suddenly remembered her mother's words. Twin, it's a good thing you have Xiao Tan. Otherwise, I'd be worried sick. You two must be happy. Wanting to reassure her mother, she quickly agreed to Xiao Tan's request. What is it? She asked. Xiao Tan, overjoyed, quickly explained. I know you're in trouble because of last night's incident. Why don't you come with me to a party? You can use me as a shield. G-Twin let out a dry laugh. Isn't it more like you want to use me as a shield to cover up your own shady dealings? Fine. Just remember to do what you promised. Send me the address. At the same time, Tong Zhao Li looked at his watch and asked his assistant, Shaolin, is there a party tonight? Shaolin, while driving, replied, Yes, with a Vin Sheng group, but I told them we wouldn't be attending. Tong Zhao Li, feeling a shift in his mood, closed his eyes. He immediately changed his mind. Tell them we'll be there at 8 o'clock. Yes, Director Tong. When G-Twin arrived at the party, she coincidentally ran into Tong Zhao Li, causing her face to tense up. Mr. Wong, from the Vin Thin group, saw them enter together and greeted them with a smile. So, Xiao Ji and Director Tong know each other. What a coincidence. Tonight, let's drink until we drop. Come on, let's go together. Xiao Dan was surprised to learn that Ji Twin knew Tong Zhao Li. He approached her and whispered, Ji Twin, when did you get to know Tong Zhao Li? Why didn't I know? Ji Twin dismissively replied, what does it have to do with you? Worry about yourself. Supervisor Wang immediately intervened, pulling Ji Twin over to sit beside Tong Zhao Li. Come, Xiao Ji, sit over here. Director Tong is in your care today. Xiao Tin watched from the side, burning with jealousy, but powerless to do anything. Ji Twin offered a polite smile. Supervisor Wang, you're too kind. I'll do my best to make Director Tong feel at home today. Hearing her honeyed tone, Tong Zhao Li chuckled softly. A stream of people then approached Tong Zhao Li, eager to curry favor. Director Tong, it's so hard to get an appointment with you. You don't get out often, so I must offer you a drink. Exactly. I'll also toast you, Director Tong. Let's drink. Ji Twin remained unfazed amidst the flurry of activity. She quietly picked at her food, thinking, let them drink with him if they want. It just so happens I can't drink today. As she focused solely on eating, Supervisor Wang turned to her and urged, Xiao Ji, why aren't you drinking? Come on, have a drink. He grabbed a large bottle, clearly intending to pour her a generous serving. No one gets out of drinking today. But Tong Zhao Li quickly intervened, stopping him with a hand and fixing him with a stern look. Supervisor Wang, why do you keep pressing me to drink? Are you trying to get me drunk so you could take advantage of me in our business negotiations? Supervisor Wang, his intentions exposed, offered a fawning smile. Oh no, of course not. Vin Sheng Group is here today with the utmost sincerity to cooperate with Director Tong. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, Ji Twin quickly made her escape. I don't think I belong here anymore. She found a deserted spot to catch her breath, sighing inwardly. The air here is too stifling. I shouldn't have come. I'll rest for a bit and then go back in. I should also reply to some messages. My phone has been buzzing nonstop since I arrived. Ji Twin quickly pulled out her phone to check her messages. The sender was Shu Yu, her best friend. Twin, is that jerk Xiao Tan cheating on you? Seeing no reply, Shu Yu sent another urgent message. Duin, an sua me. Answer me. Ji Twin sighed and replied, we broke up. Shu Yu immediately responded with 2 question marks. It's a long story. I'll tell you when I see you. Suddenly, a noise from behind caught Ji Twin's attention. She turned her head. What was that? A woman's voice drifted over. Oh, be gentle. Then a man's voice, which Ji Twin instantly recognized as Xiao Tan's. If I'm gentle, how will you feel good? Does that old man at home even touch you? Disgusted, Ji Twin quickly walked away, taking a different route. I can't find any peace here. I should just go home. As she opened the door, she bumped right into Tong Zhao Li. He, too, had heard the strange sounds nearby. Xiao Tan's next words made Ji Twin freeze in her tracks, breaking out in a cold sweat. Baby, I love hearing you moan like that. A woman's accusatory voice echoed. Didn't you say you broke up with Ji Twin? Why is she here today? Tong Zhao Li, hearing this, guessed who was inside. He leaned against the wall and asked with a hint of amusement, wow, Director Ke's tastes are surprisingly unique. Ji Twin heard the sarcasm in his voice, but remained silent, telling herself, it doesn't matter what he thinks my type is, as long as it isn't true. From the doorway of the banquet hall, someone else emerged. Where is everyone? Why are they all outside? Ji Twin, observing this, made a swift decision. I absolutely cannot let Supervisor Wang and his group find me here with Tong Zhao Li. Thinking this, she quickly grabbed Tong Zhao Li's hand and pulled him aside. Supervisor Wang, his eyes scanning the area, seeing no one, instructed his assistant, quickly, go find Director Tong and bring him back. I've finished the arrangements. Soon, the voices faded away. Ji Twin thought to herself, they're all gone now. To Ji Twin's surprise, Tong Zhao Li lifted her chin and without a word, leaned down and kissed her. Ji Twin's entire body tensed. He lingered, gazing at her with an intense, almost intoxicating look. Director Ke, are you playing games? Ji Twin, suppressing her emotions, firmly refused. If I say I'm not playing, will Director Tong let me go? He pressed her closer, his voice a low murmur. What do you think? Under his burning gaze, she couldn't meet his eyes and turned away to avoid them. Just then, Xiao Tan's voice and that of his lover drifted over. It sounds like someone's upstairs. Baby, are you getting excited? So naughty. Stop it. Xiao Tan burst out laughing. Haha, you say stop, but your body is more honest than anyone. I wonder if the people upstairs will hear your moans and be unable to resist joining us. The woman, no longer calm, snapped angrily. Xiao Tan, shut up. I didn't realize you were such a pervert. Tong Zhao Li's eyes flicked towards the source of the noise. Oh, so director Ke likes this kind of thing? Ji Twin, extremely annoyed, cursed inwardly. Who likes this? But she couldn't help but say, I just don't like other people hearing it. Then, he looked at her brazenly and continued, but if director Ke likes it exciting like this, I'm not opposed to cooperating. Ji Twin, fuming, flicked his forehead. Such smooth talk, Director Tong. You should drink less. Too much alcohol can lead to delusions. Tong Zhaoli quickly changed the subject, listening intently. All right, listen to what your boyfriend is saying. Xiao Tan's voice continued. Did that old man tell you who's getting promoted next quarter? The woman retorted, You're already cheating on your boss, and you still want a promotion? Hearing this, Tong Zhaoli immediately deduced the woman's identity. She's Mr. Fong's wife. So, Director Ku, your boyfriend's promotion relies on underhanded tactics, huh? Ji Twin retorted sarcastically. If Director Tong is so curious, why don't you go down and see for yourself? She playfully pinched him as she spoke. Tong Zhaoli, yelping in pain, clutched the spot where she pinched him and stumbled back. Just then, Xiao Tan, finished with his business, came up the stairs. Seeing Ji Twin and Tong Zhaoli standing there, he looked surprised. Knowing they had probably overheard everything, he blurted out, Twin, let me explain. It's not what you think. Ji Twin watched her ex-boyfriend with undisguised contempt, a wave of nausea rising in her throat. Get away from me. Don't touch me. The woman clinging to Xiao Tan snapped. Xiao Tan, what do you have to say to her? Didn't you tell her you don't even love her? Xiao Tan, his face draining of color, finally noticed Tong Zhaoli. Director Tong, he stammered, how long have you been here? Tong Zhaoli simply shrugged, an unervingly casual air about him. Since the beginning, he said indifferently, carry on. Why did you two stop? The illicit couple paled, fear of exposure etched on their faces. They hurried to explain themselves. Director Tong, it's all a misunderstanding. Really, it's just a misunderstanding. Ji Twin, having heard enough, stepped forward. Miss Wong, she interrupted. Supervisor Wong was looking for you earlier. If you'll excuse me, I have to go. As Ji Twin stepped out of the restaurant, she saw Xiao Lin, Tong Zhao Li's assistant, waiting by a car. Miss Ji, it's late and it's hard to get a taxi here. Director Tong asked me to drive you home. Ji Twin accepted the offer and climbed into the car. The drive was strangely silent. When they arrived, Ji Twin quickly unbuckled her seatbelt. Director Tong, I'm here. Thank you for the ride. As she reached for the door handle, his hand shot out and caught hers. His grip tightened, holding her fast. Miss Ji, are you just going to leave like that? Ji Twin pulled her hand back, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. Director Tong, is there something else? He simply smiled, a knowing look on his face. Nothing at all. Go on up. Breathing a sigh of relief, she quickly exited the car. Thank you again for tonight, Director Tong. Good night. Back in her apartment, showered and changed, Ji Twin climbed into bed and texted her best friend, Shu Yu. Shu Yu's reply was a barrage of questions. I saw the picture. What happened? You didn't tell me anything. Who was that man? Was he handsome? Ji Twin replied without hesitation. It was Tong Zhaoli. Hearing those 3 words, Shu Yu's voice on the other end crackled with urgency. Twin, what did you say? Who? Ji Twin patiently repeated herself. Tong Zhaoli. What's wrong? Shu Yu's tone turned serious. Stay away from Tong Zhaoli. Listen to me. You're not from Qingcheng, so you don't know. He has a rather sinister reputation here. Ji Twin's face tensed. What do you mean? Shu Yu quickly relayed the rumors she'd heard. A few years ago, 4 of the Tong heirs were kidnapped. After they were returned, the eldest went insane, the second died, and the third was seriously ill. Ji Twin, intrigued, thought about the man she'd been in such close proximity to. What about Tong Zhaoli? He was a 4th, wasn't he? Shu Yu continued. Yes, he was the only one who came back unscathed. Not only that, but shortly after his return, he forced his eldest uncle out and took over the company. Everyone says he orchestrated the whole kidnapping himself. Ji Twin was stunned into silence, staring blankly ahead. Without realizing it, Ji Twin drifted off to sleep. Later, a notification startled her awake. She reached for her phone. Shu Yu? What is it now? She saw a video clip attached to the message. Curiosity piqued. She clicked play. What is this? The video showed a man handing something to a waiter. Ji Twin, looking closely, realized it was the same waiter who had served her champagne earlier. A jolt of surprise shot through Ji Twin, and she sat bolt upright. It all clicked into place. This was a video of someone drugging her. She immediately checked the sender information, but it was blank. An anonymous message. The next morning, G-Twin, radiating authority, marched into the Wanching Corporation building with the police in tow. The receptionist, seeing the entourage, froze, clearly bewildered. G-Twin paused as she passed. "Good morning," she said. Sweat beading on her forehead, the receptionist stammered, "Good morning, Director G." A ripple of excitement spread through Wanching Corporation. Everyone was buzzing with curiosity. "What's going on?" someone whispered. "Why is Director G here with the police?" Another voice chimed in. "I saw them. Several officers. Did she report them? Is it about those photos?" G-Twin led the police directly to the office of Feng Cheng, the planning department director. Feng Cheng's face paled at the sight of G-Twin and the police. A premonition of disaster washed over him. "Director G, what is the meaning of this?" he asked. G-Twin's face was an icy mask as she declared, "Regarding Director Feng's bribery of a waiter to drug me, I have brought the police here today, hoping you will cooperate with the investigation." She gestured to the officers. "Please, gentlemen." As soon as she finished speaking, the police moved towards Feng Cheng. "Don't mention it, Miss G," one officer said. "Just doing our duty." Feng Cheng backed away. "I didn't do anything. What right do you have to arrest me?" The police quickly apprehended Feng Cheng and led him away as stunned colleagues looked on. Feng Cheng continued to protest vehemently. "You're slandering me. I'll sue you all." An officer sternly warned him, "Just be quiet." Watching the source of her troubles being taken away, G-Twin felt a surge of relief. Someone approached her cautiously. "Director G," he said, "Mr. Lee wants to see you in his office. He seems quite upset. I think he's very unhappy about you bringing the police to the company." G-Twin's eyebrows furrowed. "All right, I understand. I'll go over there now." As she entered Mr. Lee's office, she heard him speaking to someone on the phone, his voice jovial. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's normal for young people to be hot-headed. We certainly support her. In fact, it was my suggestion that little G contact the police." "Haha, you're too kind, too kind." G-Twin was dumbfounded. Had his anger dissipated so quickly? No wonder Mr. Lee's nickname was Chameleon. He changed his tune faster than he could turn a page. Mr. Lee finally noticed G-Twin's presence. He gestured for her to sit down and continued talking for a moment before hanging up. Mr. Lee looked at G-Twin with curious eyes. "Little G," he asked, "are you close with Mr. Tong?" G-Twin's expression remained neutral. "I've met him a few times," she replied, her heart pounding. "Was that phone call about Tong Zhaoli?" Mr. Lee sensed that G-Twin was hiding something, but he didn't press the matter. He stood up to make tea. "It's all right if you don't want to say anything," he said. "But the incident with Feng Cheng has caused you a great deal of distress. Rest assured, the company will give you a proper explanation." He handed her a cup of tea. G-Twin, taken aback by his sudden kindness, accepted the tea with a murmured, "Thank you, Mr. Lee." Then Mr. Lee got down to business. "I asked you here to tell you that you'll be in charge of the collaborative project with Supervisor Wang. Prepare to travel to Dongsheng for the assignment." G-Twin didn't hesitate and quickly agreed, readily accepting Mr. Lee's arrangements. She began to reconsider her earlier assumptions. Initially, she thought the person Mr. Lee had been speaking with was Tong Zhaoli, but apparently that wasn't the case. Could have been Supervisor Wang on the other end of the line? But what did that have to do with Tong Zhaoli? Why would Mr. Lee ask about her relationship with him? Perhaps she was overthinking things. After returning home and packing her luggage, G-Twin hurried to the airport for her flight to Dongsheng. Upon arrival, she went straight to the office. To her surprise, Tong Zhaoli was there. Confused, she quietly asked the person in charge of the branch office, "Why is he here?" The person in charge, looking surprised by her question, quickly explained, "Don't you know? Mr. Tong is the main investor in this project." Tong Zhaoli, looking up from the documents he was reviewing, asked, "Does Director G have any questions?" G-Twin, with an indifferent expression, gave him a quick, dismissive glance and curtly replied, "Oh, no, nothing at all." A woman in a purple dress shook G-Twin's hand, smiling as she introduced herself. "I'm Fong Tuesday. I'm also in charge of this project for Vintang. It's a pleasure to meet you." Suddenly, Tong Zhaoli furrowed his brow and looked towards the woman in purple. He then slammed the stack of documents in his hand down on the table with a loud thud. Fong Tuesday, startled, stood up and asked cautiously, "Mr. Tong, do you have any suggestions?" Tong Zhaoli gave a faint smile at her question. "I'm the main investor, and you're asking if I have any suggestions?" He stood up, glanced at his watch, and declared with an air of domineering authority, "I want to see a concrete plan by this time tomorrow." He then promptly left with his assistant, Shaolin. Fong Tuesday stood up and bowed respectfully. Goodbye, Mr. Tong. When they were alone, Fong Tuesday turned to G-Twin. Director G, I'm afraid we'll have to trouble you to stay a few more days. G-Twin politely replied, It's no problem. The company is covering my travel expenses, so it doesn't affect me. After briefly discussing the project, G-Twin gathered her documents and headed to her room. As she swiped her key card to open the door, she heard Tong Zhao Li's voice. Like me? Curious. G-Twin turned her head to see what was happening. She saw him on the phone with someone, his gaze fixed on her. He answered indifferently, You like me? I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in women. Then he abruptly hung up. He feigned surprise, as if he had just run into her. Oh, Director G, are you on this floor too? G-Twin had a feeling something was off. This was definitely not a coincidence. She quickly offered a polite excuse and tried to slip into her room. Hello, Mr. Tong. I have some work to do, excuse me. Seeing her attempt to escape, he moved swiftly, catching her hand before she could close the door. Hey, beautiful. Didn't you say you'd treat me to dinner sometime? G-Twin stiffened, trying to pull her hand from Tong Zhao Li's grasp. A flicker of tension crossed her face as she thought, can't he tell that was just polite conversation? Despite her struggles, he held on tight, refusing to let go. After a futile attempt to break free, G-Twin turned to him, anxiety lacing her voice. Mr. Tong, haven't you heard the saying about walls having ears? This isn't good for your reputation. If you don't mind, I can just order room service. Seeing her obvious discomfort, he relented, a quick agreement escaping his lips. He leaned in close, his voice a low murmur against her ear. So your room or mine? G-Twin's heart hammered against her ribs as she pulled back slightly. I'll have it delivered to your room. What would you like to eat? He abruptly released her hand, his gaze lingering on her with an unsettling intensity. G-Twin, he said, his voice serious. Do you really think I'm lacking for a meal from you? A sudden wave of irritation seemed to wash over him. He loosened his tie, his eyes drifting towards some distant point. I'm curious about something. Between you and Shaolin, are you two actually dating? G-Twin considered his question, remaining silent, her expression unreadable. He searched her face, finding no flicker of emotion. Resignation? He wondered. He shook his head with a sigh. G-Twin broke the heavy silence. Mr. Tong, is there anything else? If not, I'll be going back to my room. Without waiting for a reply, she quickly slipped past him. Tong Zhaoli leaned back against the wall, his gaze fixed on the ceiling. You slept with me first, he said quietly, and then you ran away. If you were in my position, how would you feel? G-Twin's face flushed crimson. She turned back, stammering, I'm sorry. He seized the opportunity, his voice smooth. Why don't you stay with me tonight? We can consider the last incident even. What do you say? When she didn't respond, he stepped closer, tilting her chin up with a playful touch. Well, do you agree or not? G-Twin couldn't quite recall how she made it back to her own room. After showering, she lay listlessly on the bed, questioning her own judgment. Why did I agree to that? Lost in thought, she received a text message from her mother. It was filled with the usual concerned inquiries. Twin, how's the business trip going? Are you eating well? Make sure you find some decent restaurants instead of just ordering takeout. After a brief exchange with her mother, G-Twin switched off her phone. Her mind raced. If I want to stay in Chungcheong and pay off my debts, I can't avoid Tong Zhaoli. I can't afford to offend him. With a newfound resolve, she got out of bed and headed towards Tong Zhao Li's room, using the room number he had given her earlier. Standing outside his door, a wave of anxiety washed over her. It's okay, she told herself. It's come to this. It's just one night. G-Twin took a deep breath and pressed the doorbell. The door opened almost instantly, as if he had been expecting her. Tong Zhao Li stood there, fresh from the shower, a towel draped around his neck, drying his hair. So, he said, a smirk playing on his lips. Have you thought it over? The sight of his sculpted six-pack sent a blush creeping up G-Twin's cheeks. She stammered. Seeing her rarely seen adorable expression, Tong Zhaoli gazed at G-Twin with undisguised affection. G-Twin, putting on a brave face, retorted, If I think about it carefully, I don't think I'm losing out in this. Suddenly, he stepped forward and embraced her tightly from behind, as if afraid she would run away. His warm voice resonated. G-Twin, I thought you would refuse to come. Held in his embrace, she felt a thrill course through her. Her heart pounded erratically, her face flushing crimson. Tong Zhaoli, she stammered, a blush warming her cheeks. Yes, he answered. He couldn't resist, leaning down, showering her with light, quick kisses. Ji-Twin felt her breath catch in her throat, her eyes hazy as she looked at him. Tong Zhaoli took the opportunity to tease her. This little bit, and you can't handle it? What are you going to do later? Then, as you might have guessed, what was bound to happen happened. Tong Zhaoli tossed the towel to the floor. Ji-Twin, her face flushed, murmured, just this once. He whispered seductively in her ear, I didn't say just once. Don't you remember? I said if you stayed with me tonight, we'd be even. In a grand hotel, despite the late hour, countless rooms still glowed with light. Tong Zhaoli's room, of course, was no exception. The atmosphere within was dim and intimate. Her face flushed. She looked at him, whispering his name almost inaudibly. Tong Zhaoli. After a bout of passionate lovemaking, they were both drenched in sweat. He gazed at her with adoration, asking, want more? His blunt question deepened her blush. She bit her lip, enduring in silence. Seeing this, he teased her further, so quiet. Does that mean you don't want to? Flustered and embarrassed, she snapped. Tong Zhaoli, you jerk. He reveled in her flustered state, chuckling softly. He then wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close. Ji-Twin, shy and breathless, panted softly. He leaned in, whispering just loud enough for her to hear. If it's too much, tell me. Then they lost themselves in each other's arms, their passion igniting a fiery embrace. Exhausted, Ji-Twin drifted off to sleep without realizing it. Tong Zhaoli, hearing a notification for a voice message, picked up his phone to check it. He clicked on a message, and the voice of his close friend, Liu Bei, filled the room. Hey, Tong Zhaoli, I finally remembered. Ji-Twin isn't that university student you sponsored 5 years ago? You really do like raising your wife from young, don't you? Hearing this, he couldn't help but glance at her again. She looked incredibly adorable while sleeping, her guard completely down. His friend's words, raising your wife from young, brought a smile to his lips. He didn't want her to know about his past actions towards her. He quickly messaged his friend, keep your mouth shut about this. Liu Bei quickly replied, don't worry, my lips are sealed. But Tong Zhaoli, listen to me, being the other man won't end well. Seeing Tong Zhaoli didn't reply, Liu Bei sent another message. Hey, Tong Zhaoli, where did you go? The next morning, Ji-Twin woke up to find the space beside her empty. Tong Zhaoli was gone. She blinked in confusion, pulling the covers around herself. Her eyes scanned the room. Where are my clothes? Spotting his shirt on the floor, she picked it up without a second thought, slipped it on, and walked out of the room. Ji-Twin hadn't expected anyone to be in the outer lounge. As she pushed the door open to leave, she was met with a sea of staring eyes. Inside the presidential suite's living area, Tong Zhaoli and several associates were in a meeting. The sight of a woman emerging from Tong Zhaoli's bedroom sent a ripple of shock through the room. He, too, looked up at her. Ji-Twin froze, feeling like a statue. The image she'd carefully cultivated over the years shattered in that instant. Everything felt like it was falling apart. I'm ruined, she thought. Regaining her composure, she slammed the door shut, acutely aware of the curious gazes boring into her back. Tong Zhaoli felt a wave of awkwardness wash over him as the atmosphere in the room thickened. No one dared to speak. He schooled his features into an impassive mask, as if nothing had happened, and calmly issued an order. I expect a revised plan on my desk within a week. One of the associates quickly responded, yes, Mr. Tong. You can count on us. As he rose, the others scrambled to their feet, seemingly anticipating his next move. One of them, sensing his intent, spoke up. Of course, Mr. Tong. You can trust us. We're not gossips. Back in the bedroom, Ji-Twin leaned against the wall, sighing repeatedly. This is what I get for doing something I shouldn't have, she thought. Anxiety gnawed at her. She covered her mouth with her hand. She recognized some of the men from the meeting. They worked at Vin Sheng, where Xiao Tan, her superior, also worked. As she worried, her phone vibrated. It was a message from Tong Zhaoli. The message was brief. I'll handle the situation in the lounge. Consider it a minor mishap. After the meeting, Fwang Tuesday, clutching a folder, approached Ji-Twin, a probing look in her eyes. What's your relationship with Mr. Tong? He hasn't been to a meeting in days. Ji-Twin forced a smile, quickly dismissing any connection to Tong Zhaoli. Director Fwang, Mr. Tong, and I aren't close at all. Fwang Tuesday looked skeptical. Really? Ji-Twin, assuming the incident in Tong Zhao Li's room had already spread, tried to maintain her composure. I know what you've heard, Director Fuang. Something did happen, but it was unintentional. I have some work to do, so if you'll excuse me. She quickly walked away. Fuang Tuesday watched her go, a look of disdain twisting her features. Putting on airs, is she? She wouldn't be in that position if it weren't for Tong Zhao Li. While waiting for the elevator, Ji Twin quickly texted her friend. Is Fuang Tuesday your neighbor? Within 5 seconds, she received a reply. Yes. Don't let her innocent looks fool you. She's not a nice person. Ji Twin wholeheartedly agreed. Tell me about it. I just experienced it firsthand. Her friend sent a crying emoji. She's tricked me at least 10 times. Oh, and by the way, I think she's chasing after Tong Zhaoli. Ji Twin was so engrossed in texting that she didn't notice Tong Zhaoli approach. He had to call her name twice before she looked up. Director Ji? Director Ji? Maintaining her icy demeanor, she said nothing and stepped into the elevator. He followed. The silence inside was thick with tension. She pointedly ignored him. After a moment, he couldn't help but cough a few times before speaking. Ahem, Director G. Fearful he would bring up that incident, she quickly plastered on a professional smile and interrupted. Hello, Mr. Tong. He wanted to say something more, but seeing her evasiveness, he fell silent, finally just uttering a non-committal sound. Anxious, she glanced nervously at him. She wondered if Tong Zhao Li was truly going to let her off the hook. Seeing her darting glances, he chuckled softly and moved closer, causing her to startle and look at him warily. But he only offered a gentle reminder. Tomorrow night is the celebratory party. Remember to be careful. His sudden words made her break out in a cold sweat, her face clouded with confusion over his meaning. Seeming to sense her bewilderment, he leaned in and added, Remember, don't let it be like last time. The elevator doors dinged open. Before leaving, he whispered in her ear, otherwise, things might get unclear. He smirked and quickly walked away, leaving Ji Twin blushing crimson at his suggestive words. The next day, after the celebratory party for Ji Twin, she was, thanks to Tong Zhao Li's prior warning, very cautious. Fuang Tuesday, seeing that Tong Zhao Li hadn't come, looked disappointed. What? Tong Zhao Li isn't coming to the party. Her face was flushed from drinking. Ji Twin politely asked, What floor are you on? Fuang Tuesday didn't answer, only scoffed, her eyes fixed enviously on Ji Twin, who was checking her phone. She said spitefully, Do you know that Mr. Tong has a fiancé? A man like him has never lacked for female attention. I hope you understand. Ji Twin wasn't one to back down. She replied coldly, I understand. You don't need to tell me. Fuang Tuesday, her chest tight with anger, raised her voice. What do you mean by that? Ji Twin, undaunted, looked Fuang Tuesday straight in the eye. Director Fuang, you don't need to see me as some imaginary rival. I have no interest in Tong Zhao Li whatsoever. Fuang Tuesday, fueled by alcohol, retorted sharply. No interest? Then why were you in his bed? Coincidentally, their conversation was overheard by Tong Zhao Li and Liu Bei, who were approaching. Seeing Fuang Tuesday's outburst, Ji Twin responded haughtily, I was just playing with him. She turned to leave, bumping straight into Tong Zhao Li. Looking up to see him standing before her, she froze, unsure how to explain herself. Liu Bei seized the opportunity to tease his friend. Huh, did you hear that, old Tong? She said she was just playing with you. Ji Twin, a mixture of shock and anxiety on her face, just stared at him. He looked at her intently, his eyes unreadable. Then he asked, Was it fun? Want to play some more? Flustered by his teasing words, she blushed and quickly brushed past him in silence. After walking a short distance, she ducked into a corner and sighed. This is exactly what it feels like to badmouth someone only to have them show up. Well, this is it. I'm done for. Back in her room, after showering, Ji Twin hurried out to the balcony and frantically texted him. Mr. Tong, I think I need to explain what just happened in the hallway. I absolutely did not mean to speak ill of you behind your back. I apologize and hope you won't take it to heart. She sent 2 messages in quick succession, but received no reply. Utterly defeated, she collapsed onto the sofa with a sigh. This is just my luck, she muttered. I'm so unlucky. Meanwhile, Tong Zhao Li was in a car, heading to another location. A prickle of annoyance itched at him. He flicked his lighter open and closed, open and closed. His phone buzzed with incoming messages. Liu Bei, noticing, chuckled. Why not answer? Tong Zhao Li snapped. Mind your own business. Liu Bei, witnessing this rare display of irritation, grinned. I told you, being the other woman never ends well. Tong Zhaoli scowled. You think she's the type to tolerate infidelity? Liu Bei paused, considering. Doesn't seem like it. I heard a story 6 months ago. The CEO of a listed company tried to proposition Ji-Twin. She ended up slapping him. Tong Zhaoli gazed out the window, a thoughtful expression settling on his face. A woman who wouldn't compromise her principles even when she's that desperate for money. You think she'd let her boyfriend cheat? He propped his chin on his hand, lost in thought. What's her connection to Xiao Tan? A business partnership? What could Xiao Tan possibly offer her? Seeing his friend's contemplative silence, Liu Bei tried to lighten the mood. Does Ji-Twin know you were the one who helped her back then? Instead of answering, Tong Zhaoli countered, what do you think? Considering Ji-Twin's behavior, Liu Bei ventured. 9 out of 10, she doesn't. She wouldn't treat you like that if she knew. Tong Zhaoli simply smiled, a silent acknowledgement of Liu Bei's assessment. The next day, after wrapping up her business, Ji-Twin boarded a plane back to headquarters. The contract signing had gone smoothly, and Fwang Tuesday, thankfully, hadn't bothered her. She'd heard through HR that Fwang Tuesday had been demoted. She pulled out her phone, checking for messages from him. Nothing but the 2 unanswered texts she had sent. She sighed, disheartened by Tong Zhaoli's silence. Lost in her disappointment, she heard her best friend's voice call out, Twin Twin. Over here. Her friend was dressed head to toe in black. Ji-Twin teased, are you here to pick me up or attend my funeral? Her friend twirled playfully. Just a casual look. Come on, we're going to be late. Her friend linked arms with her, her tone turning serious. So, did you see Tong Zhaoli again in the East City? Ji-Twin deflected. He's Mr. Big Shot over there, you know. Her friend scoffed, unconvinced. I don't believe you're telling me the whole truth. Noticing Ji-Twin's blush and averted gaze, her friend's eyes widened in realization. Don't tell me. You two are at it again? Ji-Twin's face burned crimson as she remained silent. Her friend, seizing the opportunity, launched into a lecture. Girl, I told you. You never learn. Aren't you afraid he'll just use you and toss you aside again? Seeing no sign of her friend stopping, Ji-Twin put her head in her hands, pleading, just give me a chance to explain. Ji-Twin quickly recounted the whole ordeal with Tong Zhaoli to her best friend. At the party, my drink was spiked by a colleague. Well, let's just say she paused, coughing awkwardly. Let's just say I ended up in bed with Tong Zhaoli. When I went on the business trip, Tong Zhaoli said I owed him and needed to repay the debt, to make things even. So she trailed off, unable to continue. Her friend, indignant on Ji-Twin's behalf, exclaimed, you were drugged. You're the victim. And your company's CEO is unbelievable. Ji-Twin offered a weak smile. It's okay. It's all in the past now. Her friend, still skeptical, pressed, but Tong Zhaoli just let you go that easily? Ji-Twin turned her head, murmuring, it's a long story. Her friend, after a moment of contemplation, voiced her suspicions. Tell me, do you think he's got a crush on you? Ji-Twin scoffed. That's ridiculous. This whole conspiracy theory of yours is crazy. Huh. Just then, her phone rang. Seeing it was her mother, she quickly answered. Mom? Twin, why aren't you home yet? Xiao Tan and his mother are already here. Isn't today the day for both families to meet? Ji-Twin's face stiffened. I'll be home in an hour, Mom. All right, I'll entertain them until you arrive, her mother said, quickly hanging up. After parking, her friend got out of the car, continuing the conversation. I also heard that Xiao Tan has something going on with CEO Wang's wife. Is that true, Twin? Ji-Twin's face fell. I can't have lunch with you today. I have to go back to Yinqing. Her friend, puzzled, asked right now. Ji-Twin's expression darkened. Xiao Tan brought his mother to my house to pressure me into marrying him. Her friend was furious. Damn it, how shameless. That scumbag cheated, and he still wants to get back together with you? What the hell? Ji-Twin quickly pulled out her phone and called Xiao Tan. Let me tell you something, Xiao Tan. If anything happens in front of your mother later, it's your own fault. Ji-Twin's friend was fuming. Seriously, how dare he? The nerve of that guy. He cheated, and now he wants to crawl back? What is he thinking? Ji-Twin quickly grabbed her phone and dialed Xiao Tan. Listen here, Xiao Tan, she said, her voice tight with anger. If anything happens in front of your mother later, you brought it on yourself. An hour later, Ji-Twin arrived back in Yinqing. As she reached her apartment and was about to enter the code, she heard voices from inside. It was Xiao Tan's mother. Let me tell you, Twin, being able to marry our Xiao Tan Tan is a blessing cultivated over several lifetimes. In the old days, they'd say smoke was rising from your ancestors' graves. Our Xiao Tan is very well educated, you know. Ji Twin listened, seething with resentment. Just then, her phone rang again. She reached into her bag and pulled it out. Seeing it was Tong Zhaoli, she softened her voice slightly. "Hello, CEO Tong. Is something the matter?" He was standing in a towering skyscraper, gazing out at the city through the window. His voice sounded slightly hoarse. "I heard you're getting married." He waited, but there was no immediate response. When she finally spoke, his voice took on a serious, almost accusatory tone. "Director Hituyen." Ji Twin froze, a wave of shock washing over her. She was somewhat evasive, afraid he might say something she didn't want to hear. So, she intended to make an excuse and brush him off with some indifferent words. But before she could finish her sentence, he abruptly hung up. Perhaps he didn't want to hear her rejection. The dial tone buzzing in her ear left Ji Twin bewildered, completely unsure what was going on. She muttered under her breath, "Good heavens, did he dial the wrong number?" He hung up before I could even say anything. Before she could even ring the doorbell, the door swung open, revealing Cha-Nam, Xiao Tan's friend. Cha-Nam greeted her with an ingratiating smile. Twin, you're back. I heard something at the door and knew it must be you." Seeing Cha-Nam's arm reaching towards her, she recoiled with a look of disgust, sidestepping him. Cha-Nam, seeing her displeased grimace, faltered. Twin, what's wrong?" Finding Cha-Nam's persistent closeness incredibly irritating, she shoved him aside with a firm hand. Her mother, emerging at that moment, witnessed the scene and intervened. Twin, whatever it is, let's talk inside." Inside the house, her mother approached her with concern. Twin, we've been waiting for you all day. Why are you only getting back now?" She offered her mother a reassuring smile. There was something going on at the company. Xiao Tan's mother, within earshot, let out a derisive snort. "Oh, really?" Sensing the woman's clear disapproval, Ji Twin shot her a cold glance. Xiao Tan's mother, posturing dramatically, stood up and began to lecture her loudly. "You're just the director of a small department. How much work could you possibly have? Surely you're not busier than a vice president like Xiao Tan? Besides, we scheduled this meeting in advance, not on a whim. Didn't you know? How dare you keep us waiting?" Knowing his mother's volatile temper, Cha-Nam stepped in to try and calm her down. "Mother, please stop arguing. Twin has been on a business trip recently. I think she just got back today." His mother, ignoring his pleas, turned away with a huff, clearly not convinced. "Do you have any sense at all?" Meanwhile, Ji Twin calmly placed her bag on the table. Ji Twin's indifferent demeanor further irritated Xiao Tan's mother, who muttered snidely to her son, "I see she's already bossing you around before the wedding. What's it going to be like after you're married? She'll walk all over you." Ji Twin, overhearing the remark, offered a sardonic smile. Pouring herself a glass of water, she replied, "Auntie, don't you worry." She walked toward Xiao Tan's mother with the glass and continued, "Rest assured, I won't be walking all over Xiao Tan." Emboldened, Xiao Tan's mother pressed on, her voice sharp. "That's easy to say. You're pushing Xiao Tan around right in front of us. What will you do behind our backs?" Ji Twin, her patience wearing thin with the woman's incessant nagging, cut her off. "Auntie, rest assured, because we won't be getting married." Her words stunned everyone into silence. The air grew thick with tension. Xiao Tan's mother, after processing what Ji Twin had said, erupted. Pointing at her, she shrieked at her son, "Xiao Tan, what is she talking about?" Xiao Tan, unable to admit the truth, stammered, trying to find the right words. He even dragged Ji Twin's mother into the argument, hoping to sway her. Twin, I know you're still angry with me, but the invitations have already been sent out. If you call off the wedding now, what about your mother's reputation?" He barely finished his sentence before a glass of cold water splashed across his face. Ji Twin's action was so sudden that Xiao Tan had no time to react, leaving him drenched. Xiao Tan's mother gaped, utterly astonished by Ji Twin's bold move. Across from Ji Twin, Cha-Nam's mother's face was an icy mask. She looked at Ji Twin with an air of imperious disdain. Ji Twin's mother, bewildered by the scene, could only cover her mouth in stunned silence. Ji Twin felt a wave of disgust wash over her at the blatant arrogance of the mother and son. Ji Twin scoffed, her fingers tightening around her glass in barely suppressed fury. Unleashing her pent-up frustration, she said, "Didn't Xiao Tan tell you that we broke up last month? And the reason for the breakup? I caught him cheating." The veneer of civility vanished from Xiao Tan's face. He wiped the moisture from his cheek with the back of his hand and retorted with a cold laugh. "Ji Twin, you say I cheated? Do you dare tell your mother who you were with on the night of the 17th of this month. Ji-Twin's brow furrowed. She understood exactly what he was insinuating, but instead of panicking, she remained remarkably composed. Folding her arms, she parried his thrust with effortless grace. Xiao Tan, do you want me to repeat what I just said? We broke up last month. Who I was with on the night of the 17th is none of your business. Her words hung in the air, leaving Xiao Tan speechless. Ji-Twin pressed her advantage, laying her cards on the table. Since you're so eager to know, I'll tell you. It was my new boyfriend. I spent that night with him. In Tong Zhao Li's office, Liu Bei swiveled idly in his chair, eyes closed, and mused aloud. Lao Tong, I'm really curious about something. Logically speaking, Ji-Twin isn't really your type, so why are you interested in her? When Tong Zhao Li didn't respond, Liu Bei, consumed by curiosity, pressed on. When you helped her before, did you already have these feelings? Tong Zhao Li opened his eyes slightly and answered with a simple no. Encouraged by his friend's willingness to talk, Liu Bei continued. So when did it start? But Tong Zhao Li's next answer left Liu Bei utterly bewildered. It didn't. Liu Bei stared at him, confusion evident in his eyes. Tong Zhao Li shrugged, offering an explanation. That night was an accident. She was drugged. Unconvinced by his friend's evasiveness, Liu Bei scoffed. Oh really? What about the second night? Seeing that his closest friend knew about this as well, Tong Zhao Li shot him a questioning look. Have you been investigating me? Liu Bei settled back into his chair, determined to get to the bottom of things. Lao Tong, I won't ask any unnecessary questions. Just answer this one for me. Seeing no objection, he continued. Why did you help Ji-Twin in the first place? 5 years ago, you couldn't even protect yourself. You and the guys were in so much trouble, but you still risked everything to help her. Liu Bei rested his chin in his hand, his gaze fixed on Tong Zhao Li, as if unwilling to miss a single nuance. I remember you got chewed out by your father so badly back then. Tong Zhao Li was silent for a moment, lost in thought. Then, his voice, low and resonant, broke the silence. Do you remember where a few of us were kidnapped that year? Liu Bei nodded slowly. Yinqing, right? What? Tong Zhao Li, no longer holding back, began to recount the events of the past, the events connected to Ji-Twin. After listening, Liu Bei felt a flicker of understanding. His eyes lit up as he ventured guess. Oh, so you met Ji-Twin back then? Tong Zhao Li closed his eyes and shook his head. Not really met, just encountered once. On the way back after being rescued, I happened to witness the Ji family business going bankrupt. Jinya absconded with the money, leaving behind a hollowed-out company and a widowed mother and daughter to face the creditors. He fiddled with the lighter in his hand, his face etched with sorrow as he spoke. Back then, my brother was gone. Honestly, I'd considered ending it too. Memories flooded back to Tong Zhao Li. The day he planned to jump, to end it all, a nearby argument had caught his attention. You're not paying? I'll show you, a woman's voice retorted. Showing off is useless, she'd snapped. Intrigued, he glanced towards the source of the commotion. What's going on? Are those two arguing? He saw a young woman, her voice raised, but her words aimed at dissuading a young man perched precariously on a ledge. If you trust me, wait a few years. I'll pay back every penny my father owes you. The man on the railing sounded skeptical. A student like you? What will you pay me with? Tong Zhao Li felt a surge of genuine concern. This isn't good. He's going to jump. But as the word stop reached his lips, he froze. He hung his head, despondency washing over him. What right do I have to stop him? I want to jump too. I just want it all to end. Lost in the depths of despair, Ji-Twin's sharp retort seemed to rekindle a flicker of his will to live. But if you die, there's nothing left. His face was blank, but something shifted in his eyes. He realized something in that moment. The moment he saw Ji-Twin, he felt a stirring within him, a reawakening. They say a single glance can intoxicate you for a lifetime, and it was true. He would never forget her from that day. He even ran into her a few more times by chance. In the pouring rain, she hadn't given up. He saw her fighting to survive in this world, like a tenacious wildflower clinging to the edge of a precipice. He saw himself then as nothing more than mud, too weak to hold its shape. A dark thought crossed his mind, to drag her down into the mire with him. But what he hadn't anticipated was her unwavering perseverance, her refusal to surrender. She pulled him out of that pit of despair. Back in the present, he stared blankly at the flickering flame of the lighter. Liu Bei, having listened to his melancholic tale, coughed a few times. Lao Tong, so are you ready now? He snapped the lighter shut. I'm not ready for anything with her. Liu Bei seemed unconvinced. Oh really? Are you sure about that? Seeing his friend's skeptical smirk, he tilted his head. With my current status, Do you think I become someone's mistress? Liu Bei chuckled, a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Aren't you already? You barely met her, and you're already coaxing her into bed. And once wasn't enough, you wanted a second time. Tong Zhaoli, for reasons unknown, then uttered the words, I'm just playing around. Meanwhile, at Ji Twin's home in Yinqing, her mother brought out plates of dumplings, her brow furrowed in disapproval. You should have told me sooner about breaking up with Xiao Tan. Ji Twin didn't answer, instead clapping her hands together. These dumplings smell wonderful. The more Ji Twin's mother thought about it, the angrier she became. Her face darkened as she muttered. That boy's parents actually dared to say he cheated because their son wasn't attracted to her anymore. The nerve! Ji Twin didn't argue, simply enjoying the dumplings her mother had made. Ji Twin's mother still couldn't swallow her anger. He cheated, and he still dares to show his face around here? He's shameless. Seeing her mother getting so worked up, Ji Twin gently fanned her and tried to calm her down. Let's just not pay attention to them anymore. Her mother suddenly looked at her with a scrutinizing gaze. Then, with a hint of suspicion in her voice, she asked, When you told Xiao Tin you had a new boyfriend, were you telling the truth? Ji Twin, her mouth full, gave a short, affirmative hum. Seeing her daughter's indifferent expression, her mother asked again, doubtfully, Really? Ji Twin, feeling a pang of guilt, took a sip of water and looked away. Yes, Mom, she replied softly, thinking to herself, I'm sorry, Mom. I don't want you to be disappointed or worried about me. Her mother seemed somewhat convinced. So, what do you think of him? She asked cheerfully, eager to gossip. He's nice, Ji Twin replied vaguely. Her mother, determined to get to the bottom of it, pressed on. What does he do? Ji Twin lied without blinking. The same as me, Mom. Her mother then proceeded to ask another barrage of questions, leaving Ji Twin feeling faint. Ji Twin felt incredibly guilty. I'm so sorry, Mom. The boyfriend thing was just to get Xiao Tan off my back. He doesn't exist. Her mother looked at her and, feigning a test, said, Why don't you bring him home to meet me sometime? Not giving Ji Twin a chance to refuse, she set a date. How about next weekend? Next weekend is a good day. Ji Twin outwardly feigned shyness, blushing and nodding meekly. But inside, she was crumbling on the verge of tears. Oh, the pain. Who understands my suffering? I just pretended to have a boyfriend, and now Mom believes it. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? The next morning, before Ji Twin left for work, her mother reminded her, Don't forget to bring your boyfriend home next weekend. Ji Twin, sweating, replied weakly, Yes, Mom, I remember. Before getting in her car, Ji Twin waved goodbye to her mother and then drove off. Just then, her mother's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from the doctor treating her. Annie Zhao, it's been a week. Have you made a decision yet? She sighed softly and dialed the doctor's number. I've made my decision. I won't have the surgery. I don't want to be a burden to my daughter. Ji Twin drove for half the day, arriving at her apartment in Yinqing as evening approached. While unpacking, she complained to her best friend, My mom told me to bring my boyfriend home next weekend. I panicked and told her he works at Songsher Corporation. Her friend burst out laughing. Seriously? Where are you going to find a boyfriend to bring home to your mom by next week? Ji Twin sighed in exasperation. I have no idea. Her friend winked mischievously. The only person you know at Songsher is Tong Zhaoli, right? She teased. Don't tell me you're going to drag that playboy Tong Zhaoli home to meet your mom. Ji Twin avoided her friend's gaze, a little flustered at the mention of Tong Zhaoli. Hey, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I wasn't thinking straight. Ji Twin kept sighing, her friend watching her with a thoughtful expression, chin resting in her hand, as if strategizing. After a moment, her friend exclaimed, having landed on an idea. Oh, that's right. I have a cousin who works at Songsher Corporation. He's single. How about I ask him to help you with this charade? Ji Twin hesitated. Would that be appropriate? Her friend quickly offered her contact information. Here, add him as a friend and just sound him out. As Ji Twin picked up her phone, the first thing she saw was an image of Tong Zhaoli with two women on each arm. The headline was currently trending. Breaking news. Songsher Corporation CEO's Night of Beauties. CEO Tong spotted being affectionate with two stunning women at a hotel. Following the paparazzi's lead, it was revealed that Tong Zhaoli had entered the hotel with the two women and didn't leave until 10 a.m. the next morning. Ji Twin scrolled through the comments, stunned. She hadn't realized he was such a playboy. Her friend, as if the fire wasn't hot enough, read the comments aloud, fanning the flames. Wow, CEO Tong's stamina is impressive. Handling two beauties at once. A handsome CEO and beautiful models. It's hard to tell who's taking advantage of whom. Hello? I thought CEO Tong had a fiancé. I wonder what she's thinking right now. Finishing the comments, her friend sighed dramatically. Don't tell me both the men you're involved with are complicated. A strange feeling of displeasure settled in Ji-Twin's chest. Her face hardened. Is Tong Zhao Li's scandal true? Her friend stood up, nodding emphatically. Yes, one of the models from today's shoot spent the night with him. I even heard the makeup artist talking about the marks on her. She shuddered. That Tong Zhao Li doesn't seem like a decent guy. Ji-Twin glared at the man in the photo, suddenly disgusted by his behavior. She took her frustration into the kitchen, the rhythmic thwack, thwack, thwack of her knife against the cutting board echoing as she furiously chopped a fish into tiny pieces. Her friend watched her expert culinary skills with wide, admiring eyes, clapping as Ji-Twin expertly flipped ingredients in the wok. Soon, a table laden with delicious-looking dishes was ready, the aroma filling the apartment. Her friend eagerly grabbed a piece of meat and popped it in her mouth, moaning with pleasure, tears welling up. She continued to devour the food, showering Ji-Twin with compliments. Oh my God, Twin, you're such a domestic goddess. I think I'm in love with you. Ji-Twin laughed, stacking dishes. I'll have to decline. I'm only interested in men. As Ji-Twin continued cleaning up, her phone, left on the coffee table in the living room, began to ring. Ji-Twin's best friend suddenly grabbed the ringing phone. Goodness, who's calling so urgently? Let me answer it for you. Hearing Xiao Tan's voice on the other end, her friend's face hardened. Vice President Xiao, if you have something to say, just say it directly to me. On the other end, Xiao Tan, after being caught red-handed in his affair by President Wang, had no choice but to call Ji-Twin for help. I need Ji-Twin. It's urgent. Let me talk to her. He added hastily right now. I'm being held up by President Wang at the Shuni Hotel. This is all Tong Zhao Li's fault. He leaked the information and got me involved. I was even spotted by reporters today. Ji-Twin's friend, after listening to Xiao Tan's panicked rambling, was utterly stunned. After processing what the cheating man had just said, she couldn't help but clutch her stomach, throw her head back, and burst into uproarious laughter. After her laughter subsided, she adopted a stern tone. Serves you right, she snapped into the phone. Without waiting for a reply, she hung up. Ji-Twin, emerging from the kitchen after washing dishes, saw her friend's amusement and asked, "What's so funny?" Her friend, sipping her tea, explained, Xiao Tan, that cheating scumbag, was just caught by President Wang at the Shuni Hotel. He was caught in bed, so he called you for help. Just as her friend finished speaking, Ji-Twin received a text message from Xiao Tan. Ji-Twin, you're not going to help me this time, are you? Fine then, we'll see about this. Ji-Twin's friend, glancing over, happened to read the message and exclaimed in disbelief at his audacity. Oh my God, he's actually sending you a threatening text? Twin, tell me, even though Tong Zhao Li has had plenty of relationship scandals before, he's never been caught red-handed like this. But this time, he was photographed by reporters and at the same hotel Xiao Tan was staying at. That's crazy. Do you think he did it on purpose? Ji-Twin's delicate brows furrowed slightly. She remained silent, lost in thought. At the Tong family's old house, Tong Zhao Li, his body covered in wounds, slowly emerged. It was unclear what he had endured to be so badly injured. Assistant Lin, his eyes filled with concern, moved to offer him a coat, but Tong Zhao Li stopped him with a raised hand. Assistant Lin, has Ji-Twin returned? Hearing his question, Assistant Lin quickly replied, based on the information I have, she has. Director Ji is currently at her apartment. Oh, right. The news you asked me to post, I've already posted it. Director Ji even added me as a friend on Zalo. Tong Zhao Li's eyes narrowed, a dangerous edge creeping into his voice. She added you as a friend? Assistant Lin, oblivious to the brewing jealousy, replied casually, yes. Tong Zhao Li slowly took out his phone and messaged Ji-Twin. Did you know that Xiao Tan and President Wang's wife had a rendezvous at the Shuni Hotel tonight? Ji-Twin quickly replied, was that information you leaked last night? As he got into his car, his mind still racing, he feigned indifference. You asked me for her number, but you went and got her Zalo contact information too? Assistant Lin, completely confused, could only utter a bewildered, huh. After a moment, remembering Tong Zhao Li's injuries, he asked with concern, President Tong, do you need me to buy some medicine for your wounds? Tong Zhao Li quickly dismissed the idea. No need, but the words had barely left his mouth when he hesitated. He glanced down at his conversation with Ji-Twin, lost in thought. Suddenly, he changed his mind. Actually, maybe buy some medicine after all. Preparing for his third act of manipulation, Tong Zhaoli messaged Ji-Twin, "What are you doing?" He waited and waited, but no reply came. Feeling like a small, abandoned fox, he switched to his wounded puppy act, adding another message, "Ji-Twin, I'm hurt." His messages sank like stones in the ocean, never receiving a response. Tong Zhaoli seethed with frustration. Seeing the soft approach wasn't working, he switched to a harder tactic. "Ji-Twin, is the retirement home plan ready yet? It's been so long. Why isn't it done?" The mention of work finally got a response. "It's done. I'll send it to CEO Tong via email." Seeing her reply, a cold smile spread across his face, like a predator who had finally trapped its prey. Good job," he typed. Minutes later, the plan arrived in his inbox with lightning speed. A sudden idea sparked in his mind. "So it's just business talk, huh? Then let's keep talking business." He hadn't even looked at the document before replying, "I see some problems with the plan." Ji-Twin, sipping her coffee, replied, "If it's convenient, could you give me the contact information of the project manager? I'll contact them and find out where the problem is and fix it." Tong Zhaoli, needing only this opening, quickly responded, "The project manager is me. How about I come to your place in half an hour?" Reading this message, Ji-Twin choked on her coffee, a fit of coughs echoing through her apartment. Her face contorted as she lamented her fate. "The coffee isn't bitter, but my life is," she thought. True to his word, half an hour later, he was downstairs. She'd used the excuse of meeting an important client to put on light makeup and, with great care, change her outfit. Ji-Twin greeted Assistant Lin with a bright smile. "Hello, Assistant Lin. CEO Tong is in the car, I presume?" she asked. Assistant Lin, pointing towards the car, smiled back. "Yes, please get in." As Ji-Twin opened the car door, the pungent smell of blood hit her, causing her to cough. Goodness, what a strong smell. Looking at the man in the car, she realized the scent wasn't misleading. It was fresh blood. He handed her a bag of medical supplies and suggested with a smile, "Director G, why don't you take care of my wounds first? Then I'll look at your plan." Ji-Twin took the bag, her eyes fixed on him with suspicion. Under her sharp gaze, he turned on his pitiful act, his face a mask of Wei Chu, wronged and aggrieved. "I'm really hurt," he insisted. "I'm not trying to take advantage of you." Seeing the crisscrossing welts on his back, Ji-Twin gasped in shock. Her worry was evident as she asked, "Were you beaten up?" He pulled his shirt back down, resting his chin on his hand, and turned to her with a faint smile. "Director G, can you drop your guard now?" Sensing a trap, she firmly refused. "CEO Tong, men and women are different. If you really need help, I can take you to the hospital." Undeterred, he pressed on. "Director G, the proverb is right. A drop of water given in need shall be returned with a burst of spring." He leaned closer, his voice laced with accusation. "Is this how you treat your benefactor?" Ji-Twin, sweating nervously, retorted, "What benefactor?" He smirked, enjoying his position of power. He held up his phone, displaying a video clip. "I have the video of you being drugged by your colleague right here. And then there's the matter of your wretched boyfriend being caught red-handed by President Wang today." Ji-Twin flushed at the mention of the video, turning her head away. Seeing him about to say more, she cut him off. "Stop. Just take your shirt off and turn around." He propped his chin on his hand, looking at her with smug satisfaction. "You just believe me without asking any further questions?" Ji-Twin slowly took the bandages out of her bag. "No need," she replied indifferently. He glanced up at her apartment building, a new manipulative thought sparking in his mind. "There's nothing in the car to treat this with. Besides, my car is parked right in front of your building." He lightly touched her hand. "You and I are in the car. Assistant Lin is outside. If anyone sees this scene, it won't look good." Hearing his suggestive words, Ji-Twin paused her actions. He pressed his advantage, interlacing his fingers with hers and whispering in her ear, "Why don't we go inside your apartment?" Sensing something, Ji-Twin leaned back against the seat and let out a cold laugh. "Haha, CEO Tong, what are you really trying to do?" Tong Zhaoli feigned ignorance. "Trying to do what? What do you mean?" Seeing him beating around the bush, she laid her cards on the table. "Or let me rephrase the question. CEO Tong, are you interested in sleeping with me?" Seeing her directness, he dropped the pretense. "What if I said yes?" Ji-Twin's voice was cold. "CEO Tong, you don't seem to be short of women." "That's true," he replied. "I'm not someone you can easily toy with, CEO Tong." "Aren't you afraid I'll cling to you?" He responded arrogantly. "Try me." Seeing this man relentlessly pursuing her, Ji-Twin closed her eyes in exhaustion. To his surprise, she turned and asked boldly, "CEO Tong, shall we get married?" Tong Zhaoli was taken aback by her audacious proposal. His face quickly flushed. What? Ji-Twin spoke her mind frankly. "You know my situation. I'm really short of money right now. I've only ever had one boyfriend, but he cheated on me. So, after this experience, I'm not in the mood to play games with another man. So you want to get married? G-Twin nodded vigorously. Right. I'm only talking about dating and marriage now. Tears welled up in her eyes as she continued. My ex-boyfriend's only redeeming quality was Xiao Tan, but we've drifted apart. Xiao Tan's betrayal hurt me deeply. I'm so hurt that I don't want to date anymore. I just want to get married as soon as possible. I'm really short of money. If it weren't for you having money, I wouldn't have made this proposal to you. Tong Zhaoli felt like he'd been struck by lightning. He thought to himself uneasily, how could she just casually pick a man to marry and heal her emotional wounds? And she even dares to treat me like a spare tire? This is infuriating. He turned away unhappily, coldly stating, I don't like being a spare tire. G-Twin thought, figured he wouldn't agree. Time to retreat. She handed him the proposal, quickly changing the subject. CEO Tong, have you read the proposal yet? He took the document, self-consciously covering half his face, the obsession in his heart still strong. You like your ex-boyfriend that much? She didn't understand why he was asking, but she replied, CEO Tong, that's my private business. He simply said, I understand, his thoughts unclear. Afterward, the two discussed work matters for a while. G-Twin clutched the planning documents as she stepped out of the car. Excellent work. Bring this to Song Corporation tomorrow to sign the contract. It's late. You should head back now. She waved goodbye. Thank you, CEO Tong. Drive safely. He watched from the car as she walked away. He waited until she was out of sight before instructing his assistant. All right, let's go. The car sped off into the bustling night. Gazing out the window, Tong Zhaoli asked absently, Qiu-Lin, have you ever been in love? Of course, CEO Tong. Qiu-Lin replied, curious. Tong Zhaoli withdrew his gaze and asked, and why did you break up? Qiu-Lin's voice was tinged with sadness. Her family thought I was poor, with no future, so they forced her to break up with me. Was that your first love? Tong Zhaoli inquired. Qiu-Lin nodded slightly, his eyes glistening. Yes, it was. Tong Zhaoli pressed his fingers against the bridge of his nose. First love is hard to forget, isn't it? Qiu-Lin still seemed lost in his sorrow. It's the purest feeling, the first bloom of love. Sensing where Qiu-Lin's train of thought was heading, Tong Zhaoli abruptly interrupted. You're talking a bit too much today. Qiu-Lin quickly swallowed the rest of his sentence, muttering under his breath. It's hard being a person, so hard. Tong Zhaoli suddenly changed the subject. Right, what's the situation with the Xie family? Old Mr. Xie saw the news about you renting a room with 2 models, so he demanded Miss Xie break off the engagement. Tong Zhaoli responded dismissively. Oh well, let her break it off then. Yes, but Miss Xie doesn't seem to want to. Hearing this, Tong Zhaoli frowned. What did you say? Qiu-Lin added. Miss Xie said if you're trying to use this method to break off the engagement, you're dreaming. He scoffed dismissively. The next day, a delivery person called out in front of G-Twin's apartment. Delivery for Miss G. After accepting the package, she opened it to see what was inside. What met her eyes was a horrifying sight. G-Twin trembled with fear, stumbling backward. A foul odor wafted from the box, forcing her to cover her nose with her sleeve. Nausea welled up inside her. Who would send me a dead cat? She thought. As she reeled from the shock, a text message arrived from an unknown number. G-Twin, do you like the cat I sent you? Unsure of the sender's intentions, she quickly demanded, who is this? Another message arrived, filled with vitriol and threats. Your father deserved to die, and so do you. Don't call the police, or you'll never hear from him again. G-Twin, a mixture of disbelief and desperate hope rising within her, replied, why should I believe you? Because I was wearing a blue shirt the day your father disappeared. G-Twin's eyes widened in shock. Fighting to control her surging emotions, she dialed the number, but each time the call was immediately disconnected. She bit her lip in frustration. Who is this? She wondered. I don't care what your game is, but if you try this again, I won't let you get away with it. Exhausted, she dragged herself to the bathtub. Overcome by fatigue, she drifted off to sleep without realizing it. As she lay there, seeking solace from the day's events, her phone began to ring incessantly. Irritated by the persistent noise, she snapped without looking at the caller ID. Hello, who is it? Speak. A weak voice, Tong Zhaoli's, drifted from the other end of the line. Hello, Qiu-Lin, come to my place. I have a fever. A persistent cough echoed through the phone. Even though G-Twin held the device away from her ear, she could still hear it clearly. CEO Tong, it's G-Twin, she said, his voice, now laced with delirium, responded Xiao Lin quickly. Buy some fever medicine. Come here, quickly. Realizing he hadn't recognized her, she spoke louder. Hello? Tong Zhaoli, are you alright? Staring at the phone in her hand, she thought. He hung up. He must be delirious. She quickly dialed Xiao Lin, Tong Zhao Li's assistant, but only reached an automated message. Sorry, the number you have dialed is currently unavailable. She tried several more times, but the call wouldn't connect. Annoyed, she climbed out of the bath. Xiao Lin isn't answering his phone either. She grimly assessed her predicament. It's 100% certain. My 8 characters and Tong Zhao Li's clash. Forget it. I really can't handle this Tong Zhao Li character. But in the end, her conscience won. Looking up his address online, she quickly found Tong Zhao Li's home. She couldn't help but gasp at the sight before her. Wow, a mansion this huge, right in the city center? Ji-Twin pressed the doorbell repeatedly, but there was no response from inside. A mixture of suspicion and worry crept into her thoughts. He hasn't passed out, has he? Why isn't he opening the door?